Hello YouTube, Activasol on Roids here with another potent, powerful rant. This is the continuation of my mini series, How I Became a Social Democrat. This is part two. This time I'm going to explore the effect that going to college had on my becoming a social democracy advocate. Now, I'm going to be starting at the beginning with this as well. I mean, I think every story is best told from the beginning. I'm probably going to bounce around on tangents again. Again, non-transcriptless video, just like many of my others, straight from the horse's mouth. I started going to college back in what year was it? 2004, 2003, 2004. I think it was 2003, fall of 2003. Because I went to this Christian academy, this right-wing Christian academy that was largely uncredited, I was not able to get into a university. So I had to go to a community college for a few years. And when I first got to college, I just, I would drive up there from home. I mean, it was close enough to the house and everything. And I would just, I would take physical science classes like biology 103 and everything, electives. A lot of the classes I was taking at this time were electives and prerequisites, because initially I started out in nursing school. Male nurse, I know, make jokes, righties. But that didn't pan out so well. Nursing school didn't pan out so well because I just wasn't interested from the get-go. It was just something my old man forced on me from a very young age, because, well, from the start, because he thought I was going to take care of his ass in old age after all the shit he had pulled, after all the crap he had done to me over the years, bringing me down, making me feel like less of a man and all that, making me nothing more than a junior partner, thinking he was going to be the boss of me for the rest of my life, even after I became an adult. But, he always looked at his kids like a fucking lotto ticket ready to pay out, and then as soon as they didn't become a fucking lotto ticket, he did everything he could to distance himself from them, being a jackass to them, throwing them to the curb and everything. Fucking hated him for that. I still do, and I always will. Okay. Daddy issue topic again. Back to what I was saying before. After the first few semesters, I met a man named Dr. Ray Pulliam. He was my mentor in college for the first half of my time in college. He was my mentor, or at least I considered him a mentor, because he was a very brilliant man, or at least I considered him a brilliant man at the time. And in some respects, I still do. I mean, some of the things nowadays I agree with him on. Some things I don't. The guy was a right-wing libertarian. He was a big Ayn Rand acolyte and everything. He was a Libertarian Party member and all that. And I got my start in politics, in party politics, in the Libertarian Party. I was a member of the Libertarian Party before I became a liberal. I was a right-wing libertarian for a while. And I wasted a lot of shoe leather and a lot of my political idealism starting out on a bad cause. I fucking hate how much time and energy I spent on trying to gather signatures just to get a third party on the ballot that was a social Darwinist wet dream, pretty much. I mean, let's keep in mind, however, that this was back in 2004, back before the Bob Barrs and the Gary Johnsons, the McBays of the world decided to take the Libertarian Party and turn it into another version of the Tea Party, or the U.S. Taxpayers Party, or the Constitution Party. This was before they turned it into another overtly white supremacist organization. Back then, people could still join the Libertarian Party and have left of center views. They could still have a platform for for left of center advocacy within the Libertarian Party. But after Bob Barr took over the party and his faction took over the party back in the early part of 2008, it became a hardcore right-wing crazy bastion, just like it was when Charles Koch was on the VP ticket back in the early 80s. But moving ahead a few years, I took a few more electives, went to nursing school. Didn't like nursing school. I hated it because it was just, I realized that I was just being used, and I knew I was going to fail a lot because I didn't like it. My sister, she liked it. She was fine with it because of the money. I didn't like it because I saw it as just something that was being forced on me and all that. And I couldn't even, what pissed me off the most was that here I am. I'm an adult. I was 21 at the time, and I still couldn't have power over my own life because I didn't have a job or anything. And I looked for a job, and I tried to find it, and I tried to get out from underneath this ass clown the best I could. And oh God, I fucking hate the right wing. I really do. I fucking hate them because it was like I was damned if I did, damned if I didn't. And again, after nursing school panned out and failed, I changed my major to political science. Went back to the community college to get a few more of my electives out of the way while it was still cheap to do it at the community college. Because you could receive a Pell Grant and go to the community college and pay for all of your lower level classes at the community college to save money. And this is part of the reason why I was able to beat the rap on a lot of the student debt that I would have incurred had I just gone to the university right off the bat, which I wasn't able to because of my credentials being so bad because of my old man wanting us to go to that Christian school because of his damn racist, religious wacko attitude. It seemed like the old man just wanted to haunt the living shit out of me for the rest of my adult life. And I just, it's pretty bad. It's pretty fucking sad when you want your old man to die. You really, you want your old man to die, that you're considering suicide yourself because the old man just won't fucking die from another heart attack. It's pretty fucking sad when you're put into a position of hopelessness where you're trapped, where none of your family members will let you move in with them to get away, even though they promised they would, just to keep you bottled up in a situation where, and you're bottled up in a situation where you're in it's catch-22. And you're powerless and everything, adult or not. Right-wingers will say, oh, pull yourself by your own bootstrap, pull yourself up by your own bootstrap. Circumstances sometimes will not merit that, no matter how much you want it to be so. The reality on the ground is never the same as theory, or at least it very seldom is. I'm not looking directly into the camera right now. I'm more just looking down at the keyboard. I'm just going off on this tangent about my... I'm sorry, I keep going off on this tangent involving my father because aside from the right wing, aside from conservatives, my father embodied the very thing that I fucking despise about the right wing. He embodied the very thing that is wrong with this damn country. And I was subjected to it every single fucking day. But, alright, I've digressed far enough, I guess. Moving along, after about another year and a half of taking electives, of getting some of my core curriculum out of the way while it's cheaper, I transferred to Jacksonville State University. I had to wait a year just to be able to get in the door there. And I took my semester. I took a semester of, I took the first semester and I said, hey, this is okay. I'm gone all week except for the weekends, and sometimes I only have to come home on the weekends. Yay! And it gave me this reprieve, this respite from having to deal with the old man in any shape, form, or fashion. I loved it. I loved it, and I loved many of the professors there. Now, college wasn't what I expected it to be. Uh, Jacksonville State University, its political science department is just chock full of right wingers, just hardcore conservatives and Tea Partier types and religious right types. And the thing is, I had respect for the professors themselves because they did a good job teaching me the core curriculum and such. But I don't know. The whole time it just felt like this right-wing dominated campus. Yeah, the conservative narrative about left-wingers dominating college campuses, that is a load of shit. It's a complete and utter fabrication. And I don't know how many people I met who were conservatives at Jacksonville State University in Alabama who would tout this same mythology, the same bullshit about college campuses being liberal havens, exclusively liberal havens, and having Marxist professors and all that junk, when they were on a college campus that was hardcore right-wing. Right-wingers, Republicans made up most of the math people, the political science people, the economics department people. There were right-wingers left and right, for crying out loud. The only departments that weren't exclusively dominated by right-wingers at Jacksonville State, by Republicans, whether they're moderate or hard right, were the English department and the criminal justice department. Give me a fucking break. But, it was still a relatively open campus in spite of all this heavy conservative presence there. Now, the first semester went by. I was doing well. The second semester, however, tuition went up. I didn't have any money for food because I went out and spent money on a new computer because my old one exploded. And I wound up having to get by on money I made from collecting cans because, again, Calhoun County, like Coosa County and Clay County, was a black hole for jobs. There was nothing there. There were no jobs anywhere. I ran all over the fucking town trying to find something, and I was competing with every other college student, all the retirees who were trying to go back to work, all these people who've lost their jobs because their mill jobs had been closed down and shipped out by right-winger businessmen and all that. Just the whole thing was just a trap. It was just a sad college town comparatively, and there was relatively little fun to be had. No, just, but after the spring semester of 2008, I came home from college. I came home from college and come to find out, my mother had been keeping it a secret that she had only a year to live, and I just, I mean, she kept this under wraps the whole frickin' time, and a part of me resents her for it because she could have told me this. She could have told me that she had only a year to live, so I could at least have known ahead of time, so that I could enjoy what few months left I had. That she was on this earth, and I just that she was among the living, and in about 2 months following the end of my 2008 spring semester, she died. She died about eight days before her 60th birthday. And I mean, I've gotten over it, but what I didn't get over was the way my old man used my mother's death as a means of of taking it. Just he saw the grief and he saw it as a weakness to take advantage of, like a piece of shit that he is, and he just kept on pounding away, trying his best to force me to adopt his religion, claiming that he'd throw me out on the streets because he knew I couldn't find a job. I worked my ass off trying to find a job, running around like a chicken with my head cut off to get away. Nothing there, nothing anywhere. Trapped in the same situation. I had to wait until the end of the freaking semester, the summer, just to get back into college. All the while having to worry about this asshole having some kind of bipolar lapse where he calls me up and claims he's going to have the sheriff rip the car out from underneath me, come up there and rip the car out from underneath me and everything, just to leave me stranded, just to create a situation where I'm no longer, just to create a situation where I'm trapped, just because he wanted to show how much power he had over me, to get me to crawl back to him. I really fucking hated him for this. It's just I just don't understand why people can do their own flesh and blood like this. I don't. And for some right-tard troll to come on here and make one of his fucking comments without understanding the situation, pop his little mouth off just to get under my skin. Let me say this. It was during this fall semester, right after my mother's death, that I saw another brand of ugliness from the American right. I mean, individual right-wingers are bad, but when they get into a group, they can be pretty fucking terrifying. They can be pretty fucking scary. Just they're loathsome human beings. They're wicked. They're just evil, just fucking evil down to the core. It's just I started hanging out with a crowd that was predominantly right wing. These guys were just, I don't know, they were pretty sick in the head. I mean, I met them through another person, and we hung out for about 5 months, 6 months through the fall and spring semester. But that's only because they were interesting in some ways, but in other ways they were deplorable human beings. And I look back and I just think maybe I just had my head so far up my ass because I was still thinking about the things that happened the summer before, that I just didn't want to come to terms with the fact that these people were scum and I should have been staying with my old group of friends and hanging out with them. But I sacrificed a perfectly good chance to have some fun in those semesters just because I was so caught up in my own fucking misery. You know the old saying, misery deserves company? Well, these assholes were pretty fucking miserable. But the classes themselves were okay. But there was this one character that I met in college. This one character, and I can't say his name. And if I do pop his name out, if I do say his name, then it's only because it's like acid on my tongue. This guy was, in my opinion, the epitome of Tea Party evil. Social Darwinist, didn't care about anything, smart ass, treated human beings like garbage if they didn't have money, if they didn't have a shitload of money on them and everything. He thought his size and physical power, which he didn't earn by training like I did. He was just fat. He was just a big, fat bruiser bully who probably didn't get his ass kicked in high school like he should have. He desperately needed to be taken down a peg, and I wanted to do it so damn badly. But again, it's college, and you lay a hand on certain people. Certain people, you know how some people will deliberately try to fuck with you when they're in company with others, but they will not say a damn thing to you when you're by yourself. When you're by yourself with them. There were a few instances like this with this one character, and the guy was chicken shit. He was really fucking chicken shit. He would deliberately try to make what would be the equivalent of troll comments in real life, knowing that if I got up and tried to do anything, it would, somebody would be able to say, oh, well, he got up and he hit him. Officer, he hit him. You got to hand it to the right wingers. They bash law enforcement incessantly, claiming that they're agents of a left wing government state. In the old Alex Jones narrative, they they hate law enforcement, but at the same time they simultaneously love them. Because a lot of law enforcement are conservatives and everything, so it's kind of like a love-hate relationship with them. And they're the first ones to say Second Amendment remedies. Second Amendment remedies. I'm gonna kick your ass. Come on, let's beat this motherfucker up. Let's beat the shit out of him, and pop their mouth off and say smart ass things and everything, and try to put deer in mailboxes and shit. They pull all these disgusting, not juvenile, but just sick pranks. But they're always the first ones to call law enforcement when they're the ones who are getting their ass kicked. Gotta love that shit. Gotta love it. This motherfucker would never say a goddamn thing to me. He would never say a motherfucking thing to me when we're in private. It didn't matter if the guy outweighed me by 50 pounds. It didn't matter if he was built like the fucking Terminator. The guy would literally pipe down. And I think it's because he knew that I knew how to box. I was into boxing, and I used to beat the shit out of things. I mean, it's just, I used to train all the fucking time, and he knew it. And if it really came down to it, I think he understood that all of that lower body strength of his wouldn't help him if I popped the shit out of him one good time. It wouldn't help him if I caved his skull in with a well-placed hard right. I have a lot of fucking punching power. Let's just say that. And I have taken people who were bigger than me to the freaking hay baler before, and this guy knew it. He knew it. I knew it. If it came to blows, me and him were probably going to get into one of these fights where at least one of us was going to go to the hospital with some kind of brain damage. It wasn't gonna, and it could have been me because the guy knew Taekwondo as well, from what I heard from other people, but the guy was scum. He really did hide behind his size and his and the protection of having people around to vouch for him, to get away with being a smart ass, to get away with being a piece of shit. He always thought himself smarter than everybody else. He always thought he was more intelligent, more crafty. And the few times I got him by himself, silence. Nothing. Not a word. Hell, the motherfucker ran like a scalded dog when he saw me behind him, when he was just with one other person, one other friend who looked like he was too damn small to do anything against me anyway. He took one look back and he was just like, it's no, because I called his name. And I was trying to apologize to this motherfucker because I thought maybe I should take part of the responsibility for some of the shenanigans that were going on between us. Because this was about a year after I'd been hanging out with these guys, after I quit hanging out with them. I saw this guy after a seminar on campus in the 2010 spring semester, when Ralph Nader came to give a speech at the auditorium at Jacksonville State. And I got Ralph Nader's autograph on the first edition copy of of his book, The Good Fight, the 2004 book, The Good Fight. It was like a religious experience for me. But I saw this guy just running out of, just walking away from the auditorium across the quad, this big old grass field in between all the administrative buildings and the cafeteria, toward the parking lot. I walked up behind him and I was like, "Hey," I shouted his name and I said, "Dude, what's up, dude?" And I thought it was good to just try to apologize because a year had passed and everything. Maybe we had gotten our shit together. Maybe some growing up had occurred and everything. And I tried to talk to this guy. He takes one look back at me and he looks at it and he turns around like he'd seen a ghost and he floors it. He literally puts his ass in the wind. He's just like, he speeds up his walking like he's ready to go into a run, like he was just fucking terrified of me. And the guy, and he looks, and this guy that's with him, this little guy who's probably maybe 110, 120 pounds, 5 foot nothing. He looks up to him and he's like, hey, who's that? Who is that guy? And he's just like, nobody, just keep going, come on, just like he was trying to get away as fast as he fucking could, as fast as he could, like he was literally fucking terrified of me. He was scared to death that because there were no cameras out there, because it was just me and him and one other guy who probably couldn't help him anyway if he wanted to, that he was going to have some kind of time of reckoning, and he ran off like a fucking puss, And I heard recently this guy was wearing a Glock, that he'd gone George Zimmerman from here on out. He's wearing concealed carry and all that. He's got himself a Glock and everything, and he wears it all the time like a little puss. Oh, I farted. Okay, just ignore that. Like a little pussy, thinking he's Mr. Badass. He's a bounty hunter and all that junk. And I just put my hand, and I just face palming just doesn't cut it. Face planning cuts it in this situation, because this guy, he was a fucking coward. I mean, he would just sit there and parrot shit and have other right-wingers in the group parrot him, and I would pretty much be the Alan Combs of the group, sitting there having these ass clowns who were all like 50, 60, 70 pounds overweight, probably 5 years away from diabetes or cancer, yet they would sit around and talk about personal responsibility and everything, and I'm just like, does the irony dawn on any of you fucknuts? Does the irony dawn on any of you trailer park trash? And some of them were okay. Again, some of them did some growing up after that. I did some growing up after that. But this one fellow, he never did any real growing up. He didn't show any kind of growth, any kind of, hell, I heard the guy actually, I think he dropped out of college after another semester, and then came back afterwards. I think he failed chemistry or something. But, and again, I'm not trying to make this guy out to be any worse than he already is. I don't have to make shit up. But he was just, I don't know, this guy was just sad. Just fucking sad. There's no helping anything that's that pathetic. That's the only word I can use for it, is pathetic. I mean, when this guy ran off, when I was trying to ask him, why he did, when I was trying to actually say, what's up, and everything, just trying to make small talk, when he turned around and ran off, I just put my head down, cast my head down in shame that I got so hung up over this piece of garbage, because he was such a dick and everything, why I got so bent out of shape because of his comments. And his behavior was just indicative of the right-wing troll crowd on the internet. He was they're badasses until they have to deal with it by themselves without something that can kill you from 200 yards away. They want to stay as far away from actually putting themselves out there as they can, but they want to use the anonymity of the internet to hide behind, to be complete and utter dicks to people. So yeah, by the end of college, I had gone from being a apolitical to being a right-wing libertarian to being a liberal, because I had gotten into reading various books by many left-of-center advocates in America, to being a social democracy advocate finally, because it's just, and having a few good professors to help me along the way and everything, and seeing the right wing at their dirtiest, at their worst, just seeing what they really could be, and seeing some conservatives actually be their best. It sort of helped me, along the way, becoming what I am today. And I guess the next video, maybe I shouldn't make this next video about this exclusively, and I'm just going to go with it and talk about it here. I mean, it's this video is going to be like probably 40 minutes long anyway. But somewhere along the way, I moved in with a couple of roommates that were just these guys. I could only call them sad, pathetic losers in the most literal sense. You know, I had a right-wing roommate in college who was a member of the Sons of the Confederacy, a white supremacist group. But hear this. He was a 6'7" black guy in the Alabama State Guard. I kid you not. I laughed my ass off at this guy because his parents were actual members of the John Birch Society. His father was a colonel in the U.S. Air Force and was a member of the John Birch Society, also a black man. And I'm just thinking, why are you a member of a traditionally white supremacist group? And why was your father a member of an anti-Semitic, anti-white, white supremacist group? I mean, what, were you the token house? No, I don't even want to use the word. Oh, fuck it. Were you the token Uncle Tom of the fucking group? Is that it? Oh, God. But don't get me wrong. This guy, he did help me out a few times. Well, a lot of times, really. Providing me a ride and everything when I needed one. Because I had to actually abandon my car because I finally just gave up on keeping the car. And I just left my old man altogether and got out on my own. And I feel bad because the guy loaned me $315 to get my first car fixed when it had broken down. But I never paid him back. I never paid him back because I lost track of him after I finally had a falling out with him and my other roommate over some issues that have been building for about 18 months. Of course, I was working at Walmart at the time, and I had little money for anything but food and paying my bills with them to pay him back with. But I think the best way to describe these two was to say that they were both self-righteous assholes. If you did not see things the way they saw it, they believed themselves to be special compared to everyone else. They had this complex that said that if you were in any way, shape, form, or fashion different from us, then you were somehow beneath us. And I didn't see this at first. I really didn't see this at first because they were doing their sales pitch at the time because they were trying to find somebody to move in with them because they had pissed off their last two roommates that lived with them. And those two roommates, they told me lots of stories about how these two really were, about how much drama they loved to start and all that shit. I didn't believe it a minute of it. And I moved in with these assholes and lived with them for 18 months and it was just walking on eggshells all the time because one of them was just like my old man again. They didn't give a damn about me. They didn't see me as their friend or anything. They just saw me as an extra paycheck. And as soon as I moved in with them, it wound up being a junior partner situation all over again. So, and the younger of them would always say it was because of my passive aggressive nature and all that, and it's because I didn't defend I didn't stick up for myself and all that. But even if I had stuck up for myself, this little bastard would he just pull a GOPer and say I'm not getting my way, so I'm going to take my ball and go home. That's basically what he would do. He would claim that he would move out. He would move the fuck out and leave us holding the bills if we did not kowtow to him. And he would use this threat all the fucking time. All the fucking time. By the time I had actually moved in, within 3 months, Al was already, why did I say his name out loud, was already claiming that he was getting ready to leave the situation and leave this other little bastard holding the bag. And I didn't blame him. At first I didn't know why, he was that bad. The conversation came up because we were getting soda at the local Grub Mart, the gas station in Jacksonville, and I turned to him and told him that now Al, the older one, he's the black guy who was he was the older one who was what did I say? Why did I put emphasis on the fact that he was black? I don't know. Maybe it's just a holdover from my teenage years. But he was. He was the son of the Confederacy, sovereign citizen movement nut and everything, but even he was getting tired of John's bullshit by that point. But you know what? He still put up with it. Even after that, it led to nothing. I turned to him and I told him, such and such, he's getting pretty damn arrogant. Maybe we should. Maybe we need to throw some blowback at him or something. And he was like, yeah, in the past few months, my bullshit meter has really pegged and all that. It's getting old, yada. I'm getting ready to, maybe you and me could just run off and find another rental home or another apartment somewhere and split the bills and leave him holding the bag there. Because, the younger one, he was disabled and everything, and he was blind in one eye and 20% vision in the other, but he was a scumbag himself. He literally took advantage of the fact that people perceived him as being a non-threat, just to take advantage of other people and get money, and he would always rationalize why him being an unethical bastard and treating people like garbage was somehow okay. But if the rest of us did, oh no, we had no moral compass. Needless to say, those two fed off each other. They were both self-righteous pricks. They both thought they had everything figured out, even though they both lived in shithole situations. And I was getting tired of being the one cleaning the fucking house, having to wash the dishes and shit, and having to take care of things because they were both lazy as fuck. Again, there's the whole double standard on the whole personal responsibility thing. Well, you have to be personally responsible. Fuck you. But I knew that if I moved out, if I just left, if I tried to pick up my shit and whatever, that with the way Al was and with what I had heard from earlier roommates, that he had a habit of using not so subtle firearm threats to keep people in line, that it probably would have ended badly. So you know what I did? I established contact with my sister after she had moved into her new apartment. They had an extra bedroom, and for the next 3 to 6 months, I slowly moved my shit out of that apartment that I was living in with them. I slowly moved my shit out, one piece at a time, and they didn't. I got half of my stuff out, my books, my other things, out of there without either of them noticing. I got half of that shit out, and I used the pretense that they bought. I can't believe they fucking bought this. I used the pretense I was just trying to get rid of half of my stuff because it was unneeded, and I was just trying to put it in storage for when I attempted to join the service and all that. Because deep down, I think that my attempt at trying to join the Navy was just that of some kind of a front that I was using to get out of there, to get out of Jacksonville and to get away from them. And I didn't really need to join the Navy to do that. But over the next few months after that, following Christmas, I bid my time. I bid my time and I waited. From January all the way up into early February, I had one more month in which I lived with them. And I waited until I had the perfect opportunity to run back, just run all my shit out to the car. I ran all my shit out to the car in less than 30 minutes. All my remaining stuff, all my clothes, everything. all my bed sheets, my refrigerator, my computer, everything in there that was still there to remain to act as a skeleton crew to say to them, I am not up to anything, yada yada. Because you know, if you do things at a glacial speed, nobody really notices that you're doing anything. You know, if you do things slowly enough, nobody notices that you're trying to pull something, that you're trying to make a move. And I got all my shit out of there, and I left. I left the apartment, and I left the county, and never to return. I'm glad I got away from them because I just got tired of dealing with them. I didn't want a drama session because that's what they wanted. Because they thrived on that kind of stuff, and I just said, you know what? I'm going to deny these assholes what they want. I'm going to take the high road, at least comparatively speaking, from what they would have done, even though it's considered the low road compared to what other people would have done. But you know the old saying, no honor among thieves, kind of thing. And there's a good chance that they would have tried to incite some kind of violence on the way out. My disabled roommate, he was real bad about using his about trying to goad people into trying to hit him so that he could turn around and call the cops on them, because he was a snob asshole for the most part. You know, so I just said, I'm going to avoid that situation altogether. I'm going to avoid the situation with the gun nut trying to use subtle threats and all that. And I'm just going to pull this, because he was in Mobile attending some kind of veterans conference down there, and John was out. Why did I say his name again? Crap. Was out with another prospective roommate that they were trying to replace me with, who didn't move in with them, by the way, because he showed his true colors right after I left, when he turned on him from what this other guy told me when he called me. Oh man, there were many lulls to be had the next day, because I got a lot of congratulations from former roommates for pulling that off. Because on the way out, I actually managed to find a way to subtly screw these guys. Well, to screw John out of like $500, because he got himself into a hole, and he was banking on me staying with them. And after all the misery that asshole put me through for 18 fucking months, after all the misery he put me through, taking advantage of everything I've done and all that, there was just something sweet about that vengeance I got. There's something sweet. Just the very act of leaving had put him in a situation where he had to become overly reliant even further on the right-wing nut job. I celebrated the following day. As soon as I got down to Lynette, West Point, Valley, Alabama, where my sister was staying, I celebrated. I went out, I splurged, I had a good time because my job had been transferred down there and all that. And the rest is history. You know, I left the college town behind, never to return again. And it was like, yay, I can finally be an adult and do things on my own terms without having to deal with other people from there on out. And I guess this is the end of the video. That was my time in college, and my time in college and living in the college town for an additional year and a half after the action, after college was over. Again, this is part 2, Active Asshole on Roids. Please subscribe.